What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Today we have some news about Superman and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow / Lobo. Jason Momoa himself has offered an update about Lobo, reveals a couple of pretty cool things, and talks about his time in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Meanwhile, we have some new reports about the Superman test screenings. Now, if you've been following the reports on the test screenings, they did one in December, and the report that we got from the December test screening wasn't all that good. There were some good reports in there, but we were hearing that some people who saw it were calling it terrible. However, and thankfully, DC Studios and James Gunn decided to make some changes to the film based off of feedback that they heard from the first screening, and the movie reportedly was received much better. And James Gunn himself has even confirmed that, yes, they have done test screenings and they are kind of tweaking the movie based on the feedback that they're getting. Now, from what we know, they did another test screening about 3 weeks ago or so. The test screening reactions were better than the first time that we heard about them in December, but there was still a comment from somebody who said that it was terrible. But during the DCU press event, James Gunn said this about the screenings. We've done real screenings, definitely learning stuff all the time, definitely editing and making little changes. You know, we might shoot a couple little tiny things. All my additional photography is so hard because it's like, I used to be kind of against it because, you know, you don't want to have to shoot it again. It's a pain in the butt. He also went on to further say that now that time has gone and he's made more movies, he really likes being able to say, you know what? I wish I had shot that fist hitting that. And so he does tend to go back and pick that kind of stuff up. So it wouldn't be anything major, but those kinds of things, yeah, I'll cover you a couple more things like that. So this was in direct response to the test screenings at the DCU event for the press. And it's great news. It means James Gunn is going to do what he has to do to make this movie the best it possibly can be. And if that includes doing reshoots and edits to make it better, well, then that's what he's gonna do. And it sounds like it worked. According to the insider Jeff Snyder, he has heard more about the Superman test screenings, and it sounds like it is much better. So whatever they did, it's working, because he said that he spoke to someone who watched a Superman screening, and they said David Corenswet was great as Superman. So that's awesome, and it's not the first time that we're hearing this from somebody who saw a screening. We've also heard that Nicholas Hoult is great as Lex Luthor and Rachel Brosnahan is great as Lois Lane. So right away, right there, 3 of the biggest characters in the film are great, and that's a big part of liking the movie, especially when it's really hard when a new Superman is coming in after Henry Cavill. Trust me, I get it, Henry's my Superman, but I'm still giving David a chance. I really hope the new DC universe succeeds, so I hope this movie is a success. But continuing on with what Jeff Snyder heard, he says that he heard there were jokey moments, but they were well balanced with drama and were genuinely funny, and the movie knew when to get serious. So this was actually a problem that was reported before with previous test screenings. We heard that the film was a little too jokey, I believe was the term that was used. The film was actually being compared to the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, and that's a really funny movie, so the movie probably does have a fair amount of jokes. Before, it might have been perceived as too jokey, but now it sounds like he edited a few things and it's good. Not too over the top, plus this says that the movie knows when it needs to get serious, which is also great. So this is the exact quote from Jeff Snyder. Meanwhile, I spoke to someone this weekend who has seen Superman, and they really liked it. They said David Corenswet delivers as the Man of Steel, and that the jokey moments I mentioned on my podcast, The Hot Mic, were initially viewed out of context, but it worked much better within the flow of the edit. They compared it to how Gunn balanced the humor and the drama in The Suicide Squad, saying it has genuinely funny moments, but it also knows when to drop the shtick and get serious. The current runtime is roughly 140 minutes. This is all great news. First of all, the runtime being 2 hours and 20 minutes, that is great news. I feel like since this is the official first live action movie of the new DC universe and it's Superman, you definitely need some time. Especially if you consider what James Gunn is building just right away from the start. I mean, we already have Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, we have Hawkgirl, we have a lot of people showing up in this. And Jeff Snyder also mentioned last week that there are some surprise cameos, so there's going gonna be even more characters in this. And to tell a proper story of Superman, to dive into his past, and then you add the story of him and all of these other characters who already exist in this universe on top of the current story at hand, it's a lot to tackle. Plus, of course, we want our good fight scenes and flying scenes and crypto. There's a lot that fans want from this movie. There's a lot that's been put into this movie, so it's nice to know that they're not going to have to rush through it. At least that's how I view it. You can go ahead and let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. Now, some fans are wondering if Supergirl might show up in the film, with them having started filming for the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow project, and with the report that some prize cameos will appear. In fact, right now, it's actually being speculated that his wife, Jennifer Holland, is in the movie. Recently, personal trainer Paolo Maschietti has shared some photos from the time he spent working with the Superman cast, and pictured are David Cornsweet, Eddie Gathigi, Nicholas Hoult, Sarah Sampaio, Maria Gabriela de Faria, Rachel Brosnahan, and Jennifer Holland. James Gunn previously reported before that his wife was not in the movie, but she is seen training, so who knows. But going back to the cameos, it is possible Supergirl could make an appearance, even if it's just a very brief cameo appearance. Earlier reports from insiders, like a while ago, like many months ago, said that she would appear, but we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. However, in the meantime, Jason Momoa has offered us an update on Lobo. It's finally happened. He is playing what he considers to be the perfect role for himself, something that he's dreamed about since he was a kid. And recently, Screen Rant asked him some questions about Lobo. When talking about Supergirl, Screen Rant said, "You're entering this movie as Lobo. He's not in the comics the movie is based on, so what can you tease about his entrance and the greater plan? What are you most excited about?" And Jason Momoa said this: "Well, this is the role I've always wanted to play. That's the comic I loved, so I'm really nervous about it. It's kind of a no-brainer to play this character. It's pretty big. I don't want to give away too much, but I mean, we look pretty dead on, exactly like the character, and he's pretty rough and gruff, and I'll say the bike's really cool." Screen Rant's Ash Crossan then asked, "Do you think we'll be hanging out with him for a while?" And he said, "I hope so, I hope so, I hope so. It's her movie, so it's great. I just come in for a little bit." So it seems like James Gunn is involving many characters in other films just so you can kind of feel the connectivity of the overall universe, which I actually think is a really great idea. And possibly the coolest thing that we have learned from this is that he is going to have his bike in Supergirl. I can't wait to see Jason Momoa on that thing as Lobo. I think it's going to be pretty dang awesome. And it's great to hear that his character, as it should be, is going to be very comic accurate, which is great because Jason Momoa really does seem like he's just the perfect person to play this role, and it seems like it was a pretty long time coming. So overall, really great news for Superman and also Jason Momoa's Lobo in Supergirl. It sounds like whatever problems they had with the first test screening of Superman, they actually did hear what people were saying, and they actually went back and touched upon things that were bad and made them better, and now it sounds like the film is pretty good. Now, you never really know with these test screenings because, again, these are people's personal feelings talking about the film, but hopefully we get a really great Superman movie and a really great start to the new DC universe. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about all this new information in the comments down below. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest DC news, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of it. Don't forget to like this video, and you can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.